Know what to eat, but find yourself not eating it. Perhaps you've been on diets and off again and just wonder why you can't stick to them. The Eating For You podcast, hosted by me, Sally Ann Pisk, will show you what's been missing so you can enjoy a healthier way of eating that lasts. Hi, Sally Ann with you, and today it's my pleasure to be talking with Valerie. Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Sally Ann.
Valerie, I was just so surprised when we were just talking before we hit the record button that it's been about 3 years since you finished the program.
Yes.
Tell me, since the program, how have things been going with your eating?
I'm a lot better than I was. It's made me more confident and at ease with my body and my weight. I don't stress as much about food anymore.
Yes.
But I'm always mindful what to eat and when to eat, and
Yes.
I don't tend to overeat.
So in terms of that confidence about eating, is it more about what to eat or how much to eat, or?
Probably both of those.
Yes.
I used to tend to eat just for the sake of eating, whereas now I'm more mindful that, no, I don't need that much. I'll just have a small portion. Go from there.
I know since we last connected, which I didn't realise was, like I said, 3 years ago, there was some of that snacking around the after school time when you're looking after grandchildren and so forth. Is that still something that comes up for you if other people are eating, that you feel, oh, I might have some of that?
Occasionally it does, but on the whole I'm better.
Yeah.
Then I will just sort of pick and choose what I really need and not go for the biscuits and cakes.
It's been 3 years. As you said, you are feeling more confident. And is it more that it's happening a little bit more naturally for you now, that it's not so much about, oh, what should I eat? How much should I have?
Definitely much more aware of what to eat and definitely how much to eat.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So as a result of those changes to your eating, and I know when you came into the Foundation's Mindful Eating program, you had already undertaken a lot of health goals and had been exercising and had got a weight that you were feeling comfortable with. Have those health changes been maintained the last few years?
Yeah, I initially lost 30 kilos and I've maintained that.
Yes. And that's extraordinary, because that's what disheartens so many ladies that I speak to, is that, oh, well, I've lost the weight in the past and then it's come back on again. You know, is there any point doing this again? So for yourself, obviously the mindful eating practice feels like it's still quite solid and, as I said, become more natural for you. Have you maintained, you know, sort of regular exercise and things as well?
The exercise in the last 12 months has dwindled because I've had a sore knee, so I haven't been able to get out and walk.
Yes.
But I'm hoping to get back into that, just a little step at a time.
Yes, and that's really important. And often you probably recall me talking about when we're changing eating habits, it's one step at a time. And it's very much the same getting back into movement as well. But that is really a good sign, though, that your body is settling into a weight that appears ideal for you, because you've been able to maintain that weight without exercising as much as well.
Yep.
Have you noticed any changes with other things in your life, say sleep or energy levels, in terms of getting your eating sorted for you?
My energy levels went up drastically with when I sort of lost the weight and became more happy with myself.
Yes, no, that's good. And what about overall enjoyment of food? Have you noticed any changes with that?
I enjoy food and I like simple food.
Yes.
I don't like spicy things and things like that. So I'm quite happy with a bowl of vegetables or something like that. That's quite good for me. When we go out, I pick plain food.
Yes.
Quite often have just a bowl of veggies when we go out, whereas before I'd have a big meal.
And so, like you said before, it's more about that confidence, isn't it? About, well, this is what my body actually feels like, and this is what I'm going to eat. So that's sounding really positive as well for you. Do you feel that there's been a change in your relationship with food in terms of how you view food, whether you judge foods as good or bad. How has that assessment of food changed for you?
I probably don't tend to look at food as good and bad as such, but
Yeah.
I know what's better for me and make better choices. I still eat an occasional biscuit, or that I don't really deny myself, but it'd be sort of a rare occasion when I did, not like before.
And when you have the biscuit now or the foods that you don't eat on a regular occasion, do you find yourself having any commentary about that, or do you just eat them mindfully? Tell me a little bit about that experience.
I don't sort of beat myself up about it. I just think, yes, I've had that. And sometimes I'll say, oh, I didn't really enjoy it, and just move on.
And I think that's a really important thing, because at the beginning of the mindful eating journey, women can really give themselves a hard time about, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that and I should have eaten this. And I do recall there was probably some elements of that inner chatter for you as well, Valerie, when you first started. So it just is a very freeing experience, isn't it? So
Yeah.
you don't have to worry so much about what you're eating.
Mm.
That's really good. Have you noticed any changes with your meal times, or, when you're eating?
I probably tend to eat more regularly. Our evening meal is usually around between 6 and 7, whereas before it sometimes would get very late and we'd be eating. And I think that's helped as well, having a regular meal and then not going to bed with a full tummy.
It's so true. And for most ladies that I talk to and work with, getting into that regularity of meals, whatever that looks like for them, is a great relief. And it is really helpful if there's others in the family home with you making that change with you. But it's still adaptable. If you're listening now and thinking, oh my goodness, my children or my husband would find this really challenging to change, it doesn't necessarily have to be a full change. An intermediate step can be just having a little bit more to eat at lunchtime and then eating less in the evening. So you're not feeling like you're making a meal for this person in the family, yourself and someone else, that
Yep.
you can kind of simplify all of that. But overall, what I have found when ladies that I work with explain to their family and friends what they're trying to achieve, unless there's work commitments or something that make it more difficult, they're quite happy to adjust if they understand why it's important. And some of the ladies say, oh, my partner's even benefiting now from the change, So it's just understanding that our bodies need to be fueled at different times of the day. So that's really good. So in terms of, I know you've mentioned you've had some problems with your knee, but overall your health is quite okay at the moment?
Yep.
That's good. And the body weight is stable, is what you were saying as well?
Yeah. I don't tend to fluctuate as much. I sort of stick around the same, maybe put on a kilo, but I lose that in no time. I
Yes.
sort of stay the same, roughly about the same.
Yes. And do you weigh yourself very often, Valerie, or do you tend to just check in from time to time?
Check in from time to time. And I
Yeah.
can judge by my clothes
Yeah.
if they're feeling a bit tight or...
Yes, yeah. And I think too, just in terms of that approach around eating, and again, I know it's something that all of the ladies that I work with are seeking actually when they join the Foundations program, is to take the focus off weight. If you feel that your eating habits are working for you, then they're going to support your health and your natural body weight as well. And also, I think we have to remember some body weight fluctuation is quite normal. If we're experiencing ups and downs of around a kilo, to me, that's maintaining a stable weight,
Yeah.
So it's what unfortunately has been kind of put into our minds through a lot of especially the earlier weight loss programs, is that they were counting grams. If your weight changed 200 grams, it was a problem if it was going up. But we know just with fluid balance, it's quite natural to have that weight fluctuation. And the other thing too, I think in winter, to put on a couple of kilos is quite common as well. But when we get into the lighter foods of spring and summer, then that will come off as
Yeah.
well. So I think that fear over weight is a really important thing. And I'm glad you've mentioned that there is some weight fluctuation, because it's just a reminder that's quite natural. Yeah. So do you ever feel concerned with your weight if it goes up?
Probably a little bit. I tend to try for it not to go up.
So you tend to just focus on your eating and your weight doesn't go up?
Yep.
And I think this is, again, just reiterating what we were saying. It's really about our eating habits, and our weight will take care of itself. How, looking at your sort of lifestyle, and I know, again, when we last spoke, it was sort of back in COVID times, and things were pretty crazy in a lot of households. Do you find that mindful eating is something that has been able to adapt to different things that have been going on in your life?
Yes, definitely. We've just recently had a trip to Queensland, 10 days, and we ate out just about every meal.
Yes.
And I knew that I would put on weight. So as soon as we got back, I just went back to my normal everyday what I eat,
Yes.
and I lost that weight pretty quickly that I'd put
Yes.
on.
And it's really returning to those routines. And I know what you're talking about. When we're away, especially if we can't be as active, then there can be some weight changes as well. As I said before, weight gain is quite natural and it can fluctuate. So if we're eating foods that are a little bit higher in fat, or perhaps, there's those added sugar and added fat that we may not have at home that might contribute, or you might feel like eating different foods as well. I think we need to be okay with that as well, which, from what you're saying, is the case for you. You're not concerned, are you, about
No,
this weight fluctuation?
no, not anymore.
No, that's really great. And what does that mean for you, that you don't have to worry about your weight? What's the most positive thing about it?
It's a tremendous weight off my mind, because I've struggled all my life with putting on weight.
And you're certainly not alone there. I have said at various times my own background, and taking a good 10 years to work out what was going to work for me, which, evolved into the eating for you approach. And it's really quite frightening when we think how much of our life we've tried to sort something out and not been able to do it. So I'm really pleased, Valerie, and happy for you that you have actually been able to get all those worries about food and weight out of your mind. It's a real relief. And because of that, do you feel that perhaps the way you're living your life, or perhaps what you're doing, has changed?
Yeah, I get a lot more enjoyment out of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that enjoyment coming from the fact that you're not worrying about your weight, or because you're doing different things?
Probably both, not
Yeah.
worrying about my weight and doing different things. I've now retired, so I do things that I want to do.
It's really important to have that sense of just living, I suppose, without that extra stress. It's a great relief. So in terms of incorporating a more mindful way of eating into your life, do you feel that the Eating for You program has been beneficial in supporting you to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. I've
Yeah.
learned a lot.
And what do you think the most important things you learnt from the mindfulness approach?
Probably that there's no guilt. Eat healthy, and I occasionally eat something that I would normally say was wrong. I just move on and think, yep, put that down. I've done that, but we'll move on and do better things.
No, that's really important. Is there an element for you that food has become more of a friend or more of a supporter, rather than something that you used to fight?
I used to fight with food all the time. And now I'm more at ease with food. I don't tend to worry if I don't have it.
No, that's really important. So we've talked about the guilt that can sometimes be associated with food. When you're in that social situation and you may choose not to eat, are there any feelings of deprivation or missing out?
I think this is right for me, if other people comment on it, I tend to ignore them now and just
Yes.
do what I want to do.
And I suppose, as you said, and this is just describing that level of confidence and trust that you've built in yourself and your relationship with food, because when we look at the different reasons for eating, biological reasons, perhaps the psychological and emotional reasons, and then just listening to all that dietology, all those diet rules and nutrition information. And then we've got that big sociology or social aspects of eating. And that can be really powerful in terms of affecting how we eat. So yeah, again, well done. And I'm really pleased that, that level of confidence has sort of grown to be able to, as you said, just ignore those comments and do what works for you. That's really, really lovely to hear. And I'm just so pleased for you that you have been able to evolve your practice. It's wonderful. If you were talking to someone who wanted support with their eating or had known a little bit about the journey you had been on with food, what would you say to them about the Eating for You program? How would you explain it to them?
Probably that it's mind-changing more so than anything. It gives you the confidence to do what you want to do.
Yes.
And takes away any guilt or pressure from outside sources.
So we've got the pressure, haven't we, from inside our own self-talk, but we often forget about that external pressure as well. And changing the mind is so important because all of our decisions and choices come from what we think and feel. So I'm glad it has what I often refer to these days as rewired the brain a little bit to help support healthier eating for all the right reasons for you as an individual. So that's really lovely. Is there anything else that you would like to share about your experience with mindful eating or the Eating for You programs?
It's just helped me immensely. I'm much more grounded and stress less about food. I'm just happier in myself.
And that's really important. That's the most thing. And I talk about health and happiness going together because sometimes in our strive to be healthier or perhaps to lose weight, we become miserable. It's not an enjoyable experience. And I'm thinking, well, obviously we can't be 100% healthy if we're miserable. So we're kind of missing out on that side. But when we're happier and healthier and those two are working together, I think, as you've explained today, that there's time when the weight may go up, but then it will come down. There'll be times when I'll eat sweet foods and there'll be times when I say no. And that's kind of the dance, really, that we need to play in tune with our mind and body. So, Valerie, thank you so much for sharing all of that.
That's okay.
Thanks for tuning in, and I do hope you have found Valerie's story inspiring. It is possible to set up healthier eating for good, to eat stress-free, to build confidence in yourself, to be able to say no to food when you're not hungry. So I cannot thank Valerie enough for sharing a snippet of her journey with us today. And if you too would like to set up this healthier way of eating that does truly last, then join me in a free 30-minute mindful eating strategy call. This call is all about me listening to your story and helping you put a personalised plan together. And of course, if you want my help like Valerie did, then we can talk about that too. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and share it on your social media pages. I look forward to sharing with you again next week. You have been listening to the Eating for You podcast with Sally Ann Pisk. If you are looking for additional support to enjoy a lifelong way of healthier eating, then join me in a free 30-minute call to see if our approach is right for you. I have included the link to book an obligation-free call in this episode's notes.